Welcome back to another special edition of Spoiler Country, where we're going to talk about Eynes Anthology stories. Again, Kenric is not here because he's being lame.
We'll go with that.
I was waiting for you to go like the whole, no, he's being responsible. No, just lame.
Nope, he is being lame now.
Love you, Kenric.
Love you.
On today's episode, we're going to talk about a story I wrote called Camelot's Gift, which is drawn by Rick Bugbee with colors by Denis Caron. We're going to hear from myself to talk about it, Rick, and Denis. Obviously, it's what we do. The song you hear on this one is called Song From by TJ Troy. Now, TJ's a writer as well, and he actually has a story that's going to be in book 2, which is kind of odd because book 2 has a story written by TJ Troy, drawn by Rick Bugbee, and this story has a song by TJ Troy that's written by me and drawn by Rick Bugbee. So it's all full circle.
It's always
And take 2?
It's always full circle.
Yes, it is. So without further ado, let's go and listen to myself talk with Casey about this book, and then Rick talk to Casey about this book, and then me talk to Denis about this book and hear a song.
And everybody talk about everybody's book and song.
And somebody will talk to you about this book.
Maybe.
We will.
I'll have to read it first.
You don't know how to read.
I don't, that's right.
No, you read better than I do. you read way better and faster than I do.
Which is sad, because I don't read very fast.
I'm the dumb one. All right, here we go.
Camelot's Gift. Written by John Horsley. Art by Rick Bugbee. Colors by Denis Caron. Letters by Nikki Powers. Jack Eynes is on the trail of the killer demon Camelot as he terrorizes London. He's on the way home after a long night of hunting when he hears a crash from his apartment.
So we're talking about a story that gets us into a character we may have seen before. Can I say that?
You can say that.
I can say that. Okay, cool.
Say that. I mean, at this point, if they figure it out off of just that, then they're really paying attention.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I mean, yeah, this is the story that we've seen this guy a little bit before, but we haven't seen fully what he's capable of. Do you want to get into that a little bit?
Well, it depends. Which one are you talking about?
We're talking about Camelot's Gift, man.
That's a good one. So what do you want me to talk about first? Do you want to talk about the backstory of how the story came to be, or about the story itself?
Tell me, how did you come up with this guy, like this story? So
the story itself is a bit weird. It's a lot like my Someday stories, where I wrote the initial draft of it over 10 years ago. Because I have this character that I've had in my mind. This character has nothing to do with Eynes and nothing to do with the story, but it gives you backstory of how this story came to be. In high school, back in the 90s, I created a character named Robert Torque, or Bob Torque. And I created him because I had an old TI-82 calculator, and I used to program games on it, text games where I program choose your adventure stuff. And I wrote...
You nerd.
I am a super nerd, man. I also used to get paid to take people's calculators and draw their name and graph on them. They paid me $5, and I would draw their name in gangster letters on the graphing calculator. But anyway, really. So I did a text game called Bob, all based off of in my creative writing class in high school. We were supposed to tell a story of a day in the life of. So me being the smartass kid I was at 17, my story was called Bob of Day in Life A. Taking a day in life of Bob, but mixing all the words around. And it was this crazy ass story with this guy named Bob Torque, who had a lot of really bad shit happen to him. And then in our daily journal for that class, you're supposed to try and write a continuing story. So I wrote a story called Bob the Text story, based off of Bob the Text Game, where it was Bob Torque and Julia Googlewitz and Gufabiga, which was his Swahili roommate for some reason. I have no idea why. I still have it. It's fucking insane. But so I wrote this story because I was like, oh, I'm going to transcribe him into being into a comic, because I also have in what my folders of many things I've done over the years. I have a story that I started back in 2003 called Page, and it's a 12-part story told in four page not shorts, but 4 pages, 4-page chapters, right? And it's all written by me, and each chapter is drawn by a different artist, so the art style changes throughout the story because of the mood of the story it's going through. And in that, it's a story of Bob. I turned Bob Torque into a detective, right? And instead of being a fat loser at home, he was now a detective, and he was protecting his love, Julia, and there was this girl, Paige, which is their daughter. And I mean, honestly, it's not a very good story. But anyways, funny side note, Rick Bugbee also drew a story for that too. But anyways, I always forget that he actually drew a 4-page story for that thing too. So I wrote a side story because I had a friend who was from Canada who was an amazing artist, and he actually drew a logo for me for YTCL of my character, Larry the Coked Out Bunny. And his name was Adam, and he was like, we were going to work on a story together. So I wrote this 4-page story at the time called Happy Birthday, Mr. Torque. And the theme of that story was the same overall theme of what Camelot's gift is, essentially, only a lot less demonic and a lot less fucked up. So I had this story sitting around. I've always loved this story, and it was always a story built on very, very little dialogue, or almost no dialogue. It's just done in pictures. And when it came to this, it came to Eynes, I pulled some days up, and then I pulled this one up, and I was reading through it again. I was like, if I changed the name and I changed this to being a demon, and I had this idea for Camelot for a long time, and I changed some of the scenery and stuff, this could be really scary and really, really messed up. So I rewrote it, and I think I rewrote it like 4 or 5 times, expanding it to 8 pages and tightening it back down to 6. And I finally got happy with the 6 pages. And I believe when I was rewriting, I was talking with you about it. I was sending you samples of it at the time. I think it was you.
Yeah.
And we kept pulling things out, putting things in, pulling things out, putting things in. Then I finished it, and I was like, okay, I like it. Now this was like back over a year and a half ago when I was rewriting the script. Because then once I got it to where I was happy with it, I sent it off to Rick, and Rick drew it. And I've had this script in hand, or the actual pages for this story done and in hand for over a year now, and it's originally my plan was to draw the script myself, because again, when I wrote this script, it's so incredibly detailed, panel to panel, like what happens, the angles, and like there's like a 13 panel page, and it's like so detailed. I'm like, all right, this panel has this, and this is happening. Go to cut to this panel over here. This is this, where panel placement, panel layouts, everything. And I gave it to Rick. Rick just loved it, and he's like, "This is great. I know it now. I know exactly what to do." And I'm like, "But Rick, don't feel bad. If you want to change something, you have freedom to make modifications. This is just how I envisioned it."
You have some dense ass scripts, man.
I try. I try to be dense sometimes. It's good to be dense. But so then I was going to draw it myself, but then I got into it. I was like, honestly, John, I don't think you can pull this off. I don't think you are artistically talented enough to actually do this script justice. I don't mean justice like, oh my God, this is an amazing script, but I don't think I could visually pull off the things I wanted to pull off in the script. I just didn't think I had the personal skills for it. But Rick does, 100%. So Rick took it on, and he knocked it out of the park, as he always does with everything. And he made this story, I think, at least twice as good as it would have been, or as it is. And then visually, he made it 10 times better than I think I could have ever made it. And I think this story works so well because of 2 things. I think, one, I do think it's a well-written script. I am actually really proud of the script, to be honest. I'm really proud of the script itself, the overall story. It's one of my most proud moments of writing. And it's
a great script.
I'm not trying to brag. I'm just saying, personally, I feel like it's a good script. Right. And I think Rick just took that to the 10th degree and gave me artwork that was better than my script. And the artwork tells a story. Like, I mean, there's a certain thing in comics that your artist can tell the story as good or better as you can as the writer. Because if you have art that complements your story, you have a way better story.
Oh yeah. And I mean, Rick really knocked it into the next level. The art on that is so just amazingly well done. And I'm a big fan of noir fiction and like noir movies. The Maltese Falcon's one of my favorite movies.
Such a good movie. So fun.
Yeah. And it seems like Rick really went just like full bore into that. I was trying to think of something that was not balls deep.
Right.
He really went. He went hard into the paint.
He did
on the noir aspect of that story, and it shows. It's really good.
What's cool too is Denis Caron is coloring it right now, and he sent me a sample today of it, and it's coming out. Like Denis is excited for the script. He's like, I've never done something like this before. He told me, and it's like he's having a lot of fun. Like, because I gave him, I said, Denis, use your best judgment. You are a fantastic artist and colorist. Use your best judgment and pick what you think is good. I know what the script says, give some color direction, but if you don't agree with that color direction, I trust you to make the best decision. And he sent me some samples today, and by the end of our conversation, he had given me a sample, like not a page, but like a sample idea of what he's working with, and it looks so freaking cool. And I don't want to give anything away, but the eyes that he did on this thing is so creepy.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. I'm feeling kind of left out, man. I gotta say.
I usually send you everything, and I did not send you that.
Every time you get a page, you're like, holy shit, look at this. And we geek out for a good, like, solid 10 minutes.
You know what? I just sent it to you. There you go. You have it now.
I can't wait to look at it.
Yep. I just forwarded it to you now. So now it's on you for not seeing it, not me.
It is in my eyeballs right now.
There you go.
It is solid as hell. It is looking great.
Yeah.
I remember
those eyes.
Yeah. It just stands out.
Yeah. So I've gotten some reviews in the script because these pages uncolored were in the sample book we sent out, and we've gotten some feedback on those stories. And what I've heard about this story has been people enjoyed it, and the fact that I think there's 2 words in the whole script. That's it. And even then, it's really, there's really not any words in the story for the most part. And I like that because all of the reading relies on the visuals, and that puts a lot of work on the artist, and Rick really showed how good he was with that.
Oh yeah. And his artwork in this, Rick's art is very detailed.
Yes, it is.
And his artwork in this seems to be kind of inspired by like the Tony Daniel era of Spawn.
Right.
It makes me think of that a little bit. I'm just now kind of picking that up because a lot of the stuff he does is antithetical to that 90s comic book art style. But I don't know, sometimes I'm looking at the papers that he sent over, and it makes me think of that darkness and just the stylized way he did it. It really is really quite incredible.
Well, what's incredible too is like Rick did 2 stories in this book, which was it was hard for me because I didn't want to have double artists in a book, but it didn't work out to be had to make it work right.
We agonized over that for a while.
We did, and but his art on these are so great. Because you see, some days he drew that one 10 years ago, Camelot's Gift he drew last year, but then he's working on a story for book 2 called Fate's Late Passage written by T.J. Troy. And it's the artwork on that is like 10 times better than the artwork in Camelot's Gift. It's amazing.
It's incredible. I'm trying to not curse.
Right.
It is bonkers how good it is.
Yeah. So you have that to look for book 2. But I think the end all story is Rick is amazing, and I'm so glad we have him.
Yeah, some of his work on the Fate's Lonely Passage makes me think of like a woodcut, where you see like the wood grain in the wood cutting, and it just kind of accentuates the art.
He's so good with textures. It's so insane.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he is on fire, that dude.
Yeah. So Camelot's Gift is a fun story. I hope everybody enjoys it. I don't want to give anything away, but the name in the title gives away something a little bit, and just keep in mind that
it's a gift card.
Yeah, it's a gift card to Best Buy.
Like, I mean, thanks, I guess.
Right.
Camelot.
Yeah, I mean, he wants you to buy a new Xbox game, right?
I mean, he knows what we like.
Yeah, he knows when you've been naughty.
He could have got it.
You've been nice.
But he just like, oh, make me do the work. Thanks, asshole. Sure, I'll take the gift card.
Right. Thanks a lot, Dick.
I know. Yeah. Camelot's terrible gift giver. And why didn't I put that as the synopsis for the story?
I know, right?
Website? Camelot gives
instead of
gifts.
giving away the entire fucking plot. Yeah, Dick.
Okay.
And
I'm never gonna hear the end of that.
No, you're not, because it was read out loud on a live podcast. I was like, oh shit, what are you doing, man? I had to go delete it while I was on the podcast, and I reading it out loud to everybody. I'm like, that's the whole fucking story.
that was.
Don't you die?
I know. How was I supposed to know that was gonna happen?
Because I told you, because you wrote the synopsis on the live website.
Okay. So
yeah,
that is Camelot's Gift.
There you go.
Whenever we have bad weather, it's just a debacle because nobody knows how to drive in it.
we like it for sledding. That's about it.
It's
a little exercise with the shoveling sometimes, but other than that, no way.
build you a strong core, having to shovel all
there you go.
Sure. But I mean, it's nice for like a day when it happens here, but after that, I mean, we have no infrastructure to handle it because it's so rare that it happens. I just don't invest in snowplows or anything like that. But we're gonna kind of mosey on into conversation mode, and but I always like to kind of get people kind of read, like, you know, into talking, because it's so it's so disingenuous to like start just immediately go into that, like, we are on blah blah blah, that mode. It always sounds weird. But right, so right now I'm talking to Rick Bugbee, and he is an artist on 2 of the stories in the Eynes Anthology Book 1. Rick, how you doing today, man?
Oh, pretty good.
Awesome. Yeah, I mean, you and John have a long kind of working relationship when it comes to comics. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Well, honestly, I know we have done some work. I don't remember anything really big. I remember Zombie Jesus at one point. And then there's some other pages. And then he happened to get a hold of me on Facebook Messenger probably, I don't know, so last year maybe. I just got back into that whole Messenger thing, so I ended up seeing the message on there, and he's talking to me about the project. So I jumped right on. That's
awesome. So what is your artistic background? Like how how did you learn to do what you do? Because what you do is amazing.
Well, it's self-taught. Since I was very little, my dad was, as I was told, was an artist. I seen very little of what he did, but he was my biggest critic growing up. So I figured if I could get his good word, I actually did a pretty good job. Other than that, just regular. I did a correspondence course online and had a pretty good relationship with my art teacher in high school. So
Awesome.
That's about it. Nothing real interesting.
So have you always been into sequential art and comic books? Has that always been a passion of yours, or?
Oh yeah. Since I can remember anyway. Since I was very little.
What's your bread and butter? Like what do you gravitate towards?
As far as I've always been fascinated by storyboards, and ever since I was very little, I would kind of try to make my own stories, but more than writing, I would be mapping it out on pages and stuff, and it was always visual to me. I did a little bit of writing, but it was all as far as artwork goes, it was all that. And I did a lot of illustrations. I've done commission pieces for some people, quite a few, but yeah, that's about it.
But it's crazy. I'll talk to illustrators a lot through the Comic Jam, which is a website that I help run, and they will talk as if they, I don't really know anything about writing and stuff like that. I'm like, you're doing it. Your sequential art is writing. You are creating a story on the page, and even though there's a script there, they add so much more life to the story. And there's so many times when I've had a page and somebody's like, "Oh, I really like that thing, right here," and I'm like, well, I didn't put that in the script. That's something the artist did. And yeah, they made me look competent because I suck.
Well, it's really good to, when you work with a really good scripter, and they've got something that you really like, and maybe you can put a new angle on it or something like that. That's really cool to have somebody to work with.
Yeah. So how did you develop your art style? Because it is very, very tight pencils.
I've just always been a nut about detail, I guess. It's always been if I can get just a little more detail in there. It just always came fairly natural, I guess. I don't really, as far as a preference, stuff I do like a very clean style, as a fan. But as far as if I'm going to draw something, it's got to have detail. If I draw something clean, I've got to add to it. It drives me crazy to see something that I've done. But
yeah. So who were your influences when you were growing up, or artist wise?
Well, a be all end all is John Byrne. That's my big one.
Oh yeah, he's amazing.
But George Perez, all the details, all the characters he could draw. Just Neil Adams for his style. But there's a ton of them. The Bushimas,
George Perez. Oh yeah. Perez just retired.
Yep.
From what I understand. Man,
I got to hang with him in Motor City at one of the lunch things when I do guest art table there, and we got to sit back there and talk a little bit.
Did y'all talk shop any?
It was kind of nice to be able to do the shows, and then you can get to talk to artists and celebrities and stuff back there.
I would love to talk to some of those old school guys. I was talking to somebody the other day and just tell them I wish they would have a Mad Men style show about Marvel and DC during the 70s, the 60s and 70s, when they were just going full bore, because I've heard stories from back in the day and it just sounds like they were having a lot of fun.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Maybe a little bit too much fun.
I'm a dinosaur myself as far as steered clear of all the modern technology and just do my own thing. I'm not, and there's a lot of talented people that go into this new stuff as far as computers and but yeah, I've always stuck old school.
And I mean, there's so many people going towards like all digital or whatever, but there's always going to be a need for people doing it, just getting a pencil and just grinding it out, because there's a ton of utility in that. And just, I mean, it kind of shows your bona fides by not having an undo button.
I sometimes with that, I think sometimes, some of the little mistakes make some of the best work and some of that stuff.
Yeah, like that, the happy accidents.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what my art teacher called it when I was in high school. But I mean, yeah, sometimes you have a plan in your head and something happens to the page and you go like, oh, I'm going to swerve this way then. And it makes all the difference.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Well,
and again, it's another thing about just getting into detail and stuff. And not being smart enough to do all the digital stuff. I think I would try it, but I'd fail.
Man, I feel so lost sometimes. It's funny. My wife and I, we're 35 or 36, excuse me. And my wife is a kindergarten teacher. She's one of the younger teachers at her school. And because she is a younger teacher, they have put her on the technology committee. So, and she's like a grandma with technology. So I will be getting frantic texts while I'm at work saying like, how do I do this to the copy machine? How do I turn this into a PDF? So it's funny. I'm like, can you Google it, or do you just, I'll come over when I get done from work.
Yeah, that's usually I'll use Google if I got to try to walk through anything, but
awesome.
Even then.
So, tell us, like, what was your first impression of the script for Some Days when you first saw it?
See that Some Days that's the one that we did a while back,
like forever ago. Yeah.
And I didn't even know that was like part of the Eynes Anthology at any point. I didn't even realize that. I mean, I kind of liked it. I like medieval stuff, and I look at it now. I look at the Someday, and I'm thinking, man, I could have done this better. I could have. So some of that, I feel like I've improved a little bit since I'm always picking apart stuff. But as far as
an artist for you,
but as far as the script for it and everything, I mean, working with John, like he's always really specific about what he wants, and I kind of feel like we've got a good thing going where I can pull out what he likes, and it's always, I mean, I get to picture my head and kind of know what I want, and it seems to work pretty well with the words. It's nice to have a start for that too, where somebody's put in what their vision is, and then I can add to it.
Oh yeah. Seeing John's scripts really made me kind of go like, maybe I need to start adding some more stuff. I never
really like the way
because he gets dense with the details.
Oh yeah. That's one, and I like that because I've worked with scripts before, and it's like a lot of times it's either super loose, like almost too loose, and then there's other ones that you kind of they have an idea in their head, but they really don't know how to convey what they want, so it's confusing to me. And so there's been some of them I've tripped up with that I've worked on that just became a fight for panels and stuff, but usually I can wing through them. With John's, it's real easy.
Yeah, and he's a really kind of chill guy to work with. He's driven, but I can't ask for a better guy to be doing comics with.
That's one thing that really drew me to him is that he's got such a passion for it. I really like to see that. It's in this day and age. I mean, that's to kind of go back on the comic show thing. You go to these comic shows and you see these people that are kind of in it, and you can kind of pick out the ones that are like really, really still into it, and the ones that aren't. And they're just kind of there for. I like to say that they're there for the colors, the pretty colors. As far as an artist, I'm talking about people that wouldn't buy the black and white detailed pencil art compared to the primary colored pictures. But so it just kind of goes along that way, I guess. But
there's another story that you illustrated in book 1, and it's called what is it?
Oh, Camelot's Gift.
Camelot's Gift. Yes, I'm sorry. John is messaging me as we speak right now, so my brain just went out the window. But yeah, Camelot's Gift. That's like a kind of a 90-degree turn from the Some Days comic. Mm-hmm. You really just went hard in the paint on the noir aspect of the script, and when I saw those pages, I was like, "Holy crap, that's amazing!" And
I definitely kind of wanted a time for it. And I kind of look at my art. I don't know if I've ever really felt that I've had a style, but I like to keep changing. Kind of.
I can tell a definite, especially the stuff that I saw earlier today for Fate's Lonely Passage. Which will be featured in book 2. There is a definite difference between your style now and your style, Camelot's Gift, and even especially before that at the Some Days. Your style is constantly evolving, and it seems like it honestly looks like you are operating under a magnifying glass as you draw this on Fate's Lonely Passage. His poor hands.
I blame it on those Micron pens. I mean, you shouldn't have made them so you can get them so small.
It really is some amazing work. This is a question that I really wanted to add in there because, I mean, we're a horror book. This is horror stories, and not everybody has an answer for it. But do you have a scary story you can tell us, like a personal thing?
Like a ghost account or something like that, or
yeah.
I don't know if I haven't ran into any serial killers or anything.
Thank goodness, or otherwise we might not be talking to you.
Yeah, no kidding. Gosh, I don't know. I know when I was younger, I always had this fear of being buried alive. When I went through my angsty age with my music and my death obsession.
I mean, that's a solid fear right there.
Yeah, I don't even know what caused it. I never was like caught in a cave in or locked in a broom closet that I know of. But.
There was an episode of Tales from the Crypt that I saw when I was about 7 that creeped me the hell out. And it was about a guy that at the end of it, he gets buried alive. And it was like, okay, that is enough TV for the day. I'm going to go to my room and I'm going to try to stay up and not fall asleep. It really creeped me out. And when I was a kid, did you ever read like the old like creepy or eerie comics when you were coming up?
Yep.
My dad had stacks of those around when I was a kid, and man, those things just opened up my imagination so much. They were so good. And
with that, just not to cut you off, but the detail, like Bernie Wrightson art.
Oh yeah, yes, exactly. I was about to say the art teams they had on there. I didn't realize until I got older. I was like, holy shit, man, they have some top tier people on these books.
It's amazing stuff.
I'm down in my my man cave, and it's gotten a little dusty because I'm not able to come down here as much as I should. But I am. Do you have anything you want to talk about before we cut this off?
I mean, I guess just that. I mean, I really, really think highly of the Eynes Anthology. I mean, the sheer size of the story and all the stuff he put on in it. When I was listening to the one podcast that he did.
Oh yeah.
I was the sheer size of it. Just, I really like the fact that he did that. So I don't know if the word's honored, but I feel really good about being connected to the book. I'm honored to be connected to it. I really hope that it does well, because I really think it is. I really think it is really cool, and that's why I figured with this Lonely Passage, I'm putting a little extra work into it, trying to.
And it shows. Oh my gosh, it's amazing. So I can't wait for the people listening to see what you did on book one, and then in book two for Fate's Lonely Passage, because it is insane. And I don't know if you had to do any research for what you're drawing in that book, but good Lord, man, you really went into the detail.
I like to pull up reference. I got some reference stuff. Well, I did some costume research. And the costume stuff really don't show because I keep it. I don't want to say generic, but I try to hit it without hitting it. You know, I put it in there so you can kind of see that it is, but I want to add the details, like the details to the ship, and then when we get into more of the action as far as the characters and stuff. But I really so there's so much more to add to it. I don't want to as far as the costumes and the faces and all that stuff. So
it really is fantastic, and thank you again for taking time to talk with us today about your part of the book, what you're really substantial part of book one. And again, we'll hopefully be talking to you soon about book two, because good Lord, man, it is amazing. So thank you very much for talking to me, and I hope you're staying warm up there and safe on the roads, because if that kind of weather was down here, man, we'd be in a pickle. It'd be bad.
You get used to it. You get used to driving and stuff. But yeah, I really appreciate being a part of it. It keeps this old man drawing. I like drawing. Some days you get a little sour with it and kind of push away from it, but I'm going to do it the rest of my life. So I really appreciate being a part of script,
and
stories,
we appreciate you.
Book. Thank you.
Well, Rick Bugbee, thank you very much, and I'll be talking to you soon, man.
All right, thanks a lot.
Take it easy, brother.
All right.